like a dream, feels like magic.
Temu spent millions to advertise at the Super Bowl this year.
Shop like a billionaire.
The e-commerce app pulls out all the stops to entice new customers. It was the most downloaded app in the U.S. last year.
Buyer beware.
This criminologist and cybersecurity expert has analyzed the Temu app and has major concerns about user privacy because of its parent company, PDD Holdings, a Chinese online retailer. After all, this app has seen explosive popularity since it came to the U.S. in 2022.
These companies are compelled by the CCP or the Chinese government to give over information. It should raise some alarms to users.
A Temu spokesperson tells Global News it has never provided user data to the Chinese government, nor would it do so if asked. Temu faces 2 U.S. class action lawsuits and one proposed in Quebec, alleging it collects more data from its users than is necessary. The Quebec suit alleges location data about where you've been physically, as well as what you've browsed online. Plus, all your contact information and other things on your mobile device may be compromised if you've downloaded Temu, even if you've never purchased anything. Attorney Jeff Orenstein filed the case in March on behalf of anyone who has used Temu, as well as anyone they've interacted with since.
Some of the allegations are that even those communications can end up being intercepted, or private information being intercepted at the very least, and could potentially be shared with third parties.
In a statement to Global News, Temu says it categorically denies the allegations in these lawsuits and intends to vigorously defend against them. Temu says it only uses precise location services in the Middle East region, nowhere else. The company says it is transparent about its data practices, but like other e-commerce apps, it does work with third-party service providers and ensures they only have access to personal information needed to perform their functions and services. Nevertheless, Temu's strategy and business model is raising a lot of questions, both in Canada and the U.S.
The bigger picture is, how does this fit in terms of our Constitution and our national security?
U.S. lawmakers are targeting TikTok, citing security and privacy concerns TikTok disputes. But experts say they should be paying more attention to e-commerce apps like Temu, whose rapid rise in popularity, very low prices, and ties to China are causing a stir. Temu and Shein were recently parodied on Saturday Night Live as a fictional company called Shimu.
Dress, $10. Shoes, $5.
How so cheap?
Don't worry about it.
Temu was the world's most popular marketplace app last year, with nearly 340 million downloads. Amazon a distant second. But it faces multiple proposed class action lawsuits alleging privacy overreaches. Temu tells Global News it categorically denies the allegations in these lawsuits and intends to vigorously defend against them. The company says it is transparent about its data practices. But like other e-commerce apps, it does work with third-party service providers and ensures they only have access to personal information needed to perform their functions and services. Canada has the PIPEDA Act, governing how the private sector collects personal information. But Ontario's former privacy commissioner warns things may be slipping through this decades-old law.
It's 20 years old. I mean, this is how dated it is. We don't have sufficient laws in place.
The Office of the Federal Privacy Commissioner tells Global News it is aware of some concerns related to Temu, but it is not conducting any investigations. Still, questions abound about Temu and its business model. 2023 analysis by U.S. firm Grizzly Research claims Temu loses money on most of its e-commerce transactions. Not shocking when items are offered incredibly cheaply on the app that in its Super Bowl ad invites you to
Shop like a billionaire.
And what do you get in return? You have to ask that. People aren't just giving things away.
PDD Holdings doesn't disclose financial information specific to Temu, but a company spokesperson says external estimates of Temu's losses are far from reality. It says Temu is able to offer such cheap prices because of its efficient supply chain that cuts costs. When asked about the lack of federal oversight, in a statement to Global News, the Innovation Minister's office cited Bill C-27, tabled in 2022, which, as the Consumer Privacy Protection Act, is designed to replace PIPEDA. Bill C-27 is currently being studied. U.S. lawmakers issued a recent report saying there is an extremely high risk that Temu's supply chains are contaminated with forced labor. This year's federal budget said legislation would be introduced in 2024 to eradicate forced labor from Canadian supply chains. Temu tells Global News it strictly prohibits all forms of involuntary labor, and allegations to the contrary are completely ungrounded. Until robust rules to protect consumers are in place, experts say the best line of defense is to do research before downloading apps. Anne Gaviola, Global News, Toronto.